You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Sunday Night Live. We are here at the zoo, and the zoo is where we take YouTube and we take Patreon and we put them all together. That is you guys. Folks, it should be free speech. It should be us being able to talk to each other if we wish, not forced to and not prohibited from. Free speech. What a concept. Too bad it is now lacking in the United States of America, once the bastion of freedom of speech, freedom of self-defense, the home of the brave, right? Wow. Land of the free. Really. We are here. It is go time. It is show time. I want to make you famous, folks. We got a super chat button up here. We have PayPal. If you guys make a donation, I'll read your question, your comment, whatever it is you got. I'll make you famous, right? There are so many topics to cover. I accidentally highlighted several that I wanted, and then I hit the dispose of it button. What a mistake. Unbelievable. But it happens. But I still remember what those stories are. And folks, I still have dozens of stories. Dozens of stories. Things that are going on that in any other time in America before the cerveza bug hysteria, any other time before, these stories would have been headlines for a day, for a week. It is crazy what is happening. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? I tell you, they're not letting up, folks. They're not letting up. Joe Biden isn't letting up. The CDC isn't letting up. Dr. Faucet, the little drip, he's not letting up. No, none of it, folks. The Jim Jones juice, they're pushing that more than ever. Now, I don't know what you're hearing where you live at. You know, where you're at. What are you hearing? I know what I'm hearing where I'm at, and it isn't pretty. Right? Now, I have my ears to the ground, right? I have you guys sending me information from behind the scenes, which is terrific. It's always more than I can handle, but it's better than not enough at all. And that's really the good thing we have going, folks, is we have people behind the scenes working, people like you, people like me, I guess, who just want to know the facts, who want to come to our own conclusions. It is incredible. I'm going to start this show off, though, folks, with a big, fat $50 super chat donation through PayPal coming from Darcy, who says, "Good afternoon, John. Wondering if the relaxed cerveza bug rules in the southern states compared to New York and California is all a ruse to keep us quiet until they are ready to force the Jim Jones juice pass on all the people in the U.S. Your thoughts?" Very interesting, right? They're not starting with the United States of America as the worst, the most locked down, the most draconian. No, that title belongs to Australia. Australia is absolutely the most tyrannical, dictatorial, communist, Nazi-like country on the planet, making China go, I thought we were the bad guys. Crazy stuff. Now, yeah, you got California. Now, and understand, California and New York and Illinois, really the only ones obeying these cerveza bug rules and lockdowns is the major cities. It's the major cities. San Francisco, Oakland, Bay Area, Sacramento, Los Angeles, the greater Los Angeles basin. In Illinois, of course, it's Chicago and the surrounding suburbs. And New York State, of course, is New York City proper and the boroughs and the burbs and all that. Otherwise, the rural areas are like, F you. Now, the question is prescient. It's right on target, Darcy. Thank you. And thank you for the support you always show the channel. It comes in just at an amazing time to keep the GTF B, the Get the Fuck Back Fund, going. This show is supported by you guys, by the way, and that's why I want everyone on Patreon. Now, back to your question, your comment, your thought. Is it a ruse to keep us quiet until they're ready now? Right now in the Supreme Court of the United States, they're considering whether or not the president's mandates are constitutional, legal, sound, reasonable, within reason. Who knows what decision they're going to come up with? But no matter what the decision, the government is going to continue to push for more. If they say, well, only in these circumstances does President Xi Biden have the authority to force people to get something they don't want, an untested experimental concoction. Now, the court can make a determination. What does the president continue to say? Well, the president has shown us, President Biden, he doesn't care what any federal court says. He just rides over the top of them. He doesn't care what any appeals court rules. He continues to push his mandates. He doesn't care that a federal court told the Navy SEALs, you don't have to obey. Because just this weekend, I catch a story that in the U.S. Air Force, they're continuing to make people who are and have been proven or provided evidence by doctors that they're allergic to the ingredients in the Jim Jones juice. They're allergic to it. No, you still have to take it. Are we going to see a battle between the branches of government? Yes, we are already seeing that. All right, we're seeing the executive, the president's, his branch of the government pretending like it doesn't have to need a Congress, a legislature, right? The House of Representatives and the Senate. He's pretending like it doesn't exist. He's just putting his mandates out there. Fuck it, let's just put some mandates out there. That's where he's at. The legislature, well, that's 90 Proof Nancy. She thinks she's the queen of Capitol Hill. What a tyrant. And the courts themselves, their job is not to tell us what they believe. Their job is to interpret the Constitution as it was written, not with expansion and expansive consideration for government authority, but rather to restrict government and protect our rights. So we're going to see what the Supreme Court thinks of this. Now, once again, let's get back to Darcy's question, which is incredibly powerful and timely for this show and where we're at in 2022. We're at the second week, right? Holiday times are over. Week number 2 is here. Let's get it on, right? Australia has lockdowns, has mandates, has quarantine camps, has prison time, forced Jim Jones juice in Australia. Other countries aren't far behind, but Australia's at the top. Now, the United States is a little bit of a different animal. They want to show us what's going on in Australia, and we're supposed to believe they like it. They're showing us what's happening in Germany, Austria, Netherlands, and we're supposed to go, oh, okay, that's fine. I guess maybe we'll follow along, right? Are there relaxed rules in the southern states? Is that to keep us quiet until they're ready to force the Jim Jones juice? Well, in the state of Washington, they've got a bill that's popped up this weekend, right, inside their legislature. They want to be able to use state authority to isolate, quarantine, and even forcibly vaccinate people using police power, police authority. This is where the rubber will meet the road. You see, they don't want the rubber to meet the road in the free states, the free counties, the free cities, and large parts of the South. They don't want it there. They want to test this on a bunch of commie fucks in the state of Washington, in the SeaTac area. They would love to do it in the Portland area, in the San Francisco area, in Chicago, New York, where they can force. They're actually pushing this same legislation or legislation very similar to it. They're pushing that in the state of New York. You bet they are. The rubber meeting the road, right? Are they trying to get it everywhere else until they're ready to force it on us in the South? I think what they're doing is they're trying to get the low-hanging fruit. They want to push as many people into this as they can. Ultimately, there's going to be shots fired. And I am not promoting violence. I am not glamorizing or glorifying it. I am not condoning anyone behave irresponsibly, dangerously, or with harm to others. What I'm saying is you are being told by the federal government and by some state governments that you have no rights. To tell you or me that our rights don't matter, that the government is supreme, is to say that we have no rights. Because if any right is alienable, that is, can be denied by the government, if any right can be denied, then all rights can be denied. Right? It's kind of a maxim of thought. If the government has authority to override your right to free speech, well, then why not the Second Amendment? If they have a right to get rid of your liberty, why not the right to take your life? And they're doing all of this. Understand, Washington State is taking the premise, and it is a piss poor premise in my book. And that is that in the name of public health or for the good of society, there is nothing in the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution that says for the good of society. There's nothing there about the good of society. There's the right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and all other inalienable God-given rights. There's nothing about public health trumps everything else. Public health is supreme. It is not. Individual rights and the people's collective rights. Collective rights meaning not the majority can tell the minority what to do, but the collective right of us over the government. Our liberties collectively and individually matter more than the government. That is an argument the state or the federal government does not want to have. So back to Darcy. Is it a ruse to keep us quiet until they force the Jim Jones juice pass on all people in the U.S.? It probably is a ruse. They want us quiet as long as they can keep us quiet. That's why they don't want us talking, sharing, networking. They don't want us to give each other information, ideas, or thoughts. They would love to just silence you, silence me. They would love that. That's why they are censoring us, going, well, it's a private business. We can do what we want. No. I think you're the public marketplace now. The internet is now the public square, whether it falls under the road at Google and YouTube or whether it's a BitChute and the Twitter streets. Doesn't matter. It is the public place. And this particular podium is run by me. Everyone else can have their own podiums, their own soapboxes. But this is what's happening, folks. They are coming after us. Yes, they're going to push. They're going to have their big enchilada that they're going to try dropping on us. They're trying to keep us quiet and calm while they come up with a way, justify a way, come up to convince us with that they have the authority. That's their plan. They need to make these arguments and make them stick and make the American people believe, and then have you go, you know what? I'm done with my rights. I'm just going to take my guns and throw them in a fucking wood chipper. And then take the metal that comes out of the wood chipper and throw it in a furnace and melt it down. Yeah, that's a great idea. My right to life and liberty, fuck it. The government is supreme. That's the argument they're trying to make, piece by piece. No, thank you. I choose life. Right? That's how I see it. I am not going to abandon reason, good sense, my life, because some bureaucratic piece of shit believes they know better. Right? Who could that be? Who is John talking about now? Some little turd who thinks they know. There comes a time.
I also want to ask you about the president's mandate. There's so much opposition now.
I understand, and we all understand, how people do not like to be told what to do. They want to make their own choice and their own free will.
Is there any thought of backing off of that?
People do not like to be told what to do, told what to do, told what to do. They want to make their own choice and their own free will, their own choice, their own choice.
Backing off.
Free will, their own free will. I get that and I respect that. Free will, I respect that. But these are unusual times. Their own free will, unusual times. I respect that. So I would prefer, and we all would prefer, that people would be voluntarily getting vaccinated, told what to do. But if they're not going to do that, sometimes you've got to do things that are unpopular, but that clearly supersede individual choices. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about requirements.
Maybe there would be a better word besides mandate, but I don't know what it is.
It is a lie when he says, I respect that people don't want to be. No, he doesn't respect it. He walks all over it. He pisses on it. He shits on it. He's a liar. He does not respect that, because to respect that means you will avoid it, right? If I saw you on the street and you said, hey, I'd like you to stay 3 feet or more away from me, just my personal space. If I accept that and respect it, I stay out of your space. If I'm like, you know what, fuck you, I'm going to stand where I want, then I don't respect it. That little turd says, oh, I respect that. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're a tyrant. Absolute tyrant. And I want to thank Heidi, who sent a $10 PayPal super chat donation and said, keep on keeping on. And thank you, Heidi, dear. And I love the picture that you sent in to Uman and the R Syndicate of the Fuck Around and Find Out limited edition Prepared Mind shirt. And no, there are not any more of them made, nor any more available. It was a one-time creation. We made 48 of them. I kept 2 for myself, and the rest went out. Went out, folks, like hotcakes out the door. And we got a lot of pictures of people, and I want to thank you all. Orlando looked particularly intimidating and disturbing in his, and I hope everyone in the Northeast quakes in their boots when they see that shirt. We got Frankie Rios with a 223 super chat donation saying this: I see a larger segment of the population waking. That is great news, Frankie. Great news. We are waking up the masses currently, folks, on this channel. Not on a Monday night, on Sunday night. We have 581 people live. That's great. That's more than the President of the United States gets, folks. That's way more than the Vice President of the United States of America gets. This show gets more live viewers, live, and thumbs up than the President of the United States. How is that possible? Because maybe the message here is more appreciated than the shit coming out of DC. What I would like to ask, though, is that you take it, that address. No, address is over here. Get the URL, the internet address, and email it to friends. Email it to family and say, get on here. We're talking some shit. This is about what's happening, and it speaks directly to what Frankie Rios is saying. And that is that people are waking up. The general population, a bigger and bigger percentage, are waking up. In the Netherlands last year, or for last year, 2021, the most popular phrase was Jim Jones Juice regret. The regret of what they did. That was the #1 thing. They regretted it. You want to know who else is regretting it right now? In Qatar, which is somewhere in the Middle East, another soccer player had a massive heart attack and died. Pow! Done. Over. Done. Over. Heart attack. Professional soccer player. Tennis star over the weekend has myocarditis. Inflamed, enraged, pissed off heart muscle. Her tennis career over. I may never play again. No, I'll say it for you. You are never going to play again. Geez, I wonder what caused that. How many cans of Jim Jones juice does it take to ruin a sports star's career or life? Who wants a free trip to the ER? Who wants to find out what a defibrillator feels like? Who wants to lose half of your memory to a stroke? Just step right up, folks. Have yourself a Jim Jones juice. Take a ride. Oh, what is it, 15-year-old girl in Israel gets her Jim Jones juice, documents everything, dies. Folks, these are just the ones that I hear about. I don't even look for it. They just like land in my lap. How many people, folks, have taken the Jim Jones juice and met their maker? How many took the Jim Jones juice and discovered not such a good idea? In fact, I think I put the actual picture of the real Jim Jones on today's post notification saying, come to the show, come to the zoo, right? And it is a freaking zoo too. How many times do we have to show that, right? The real Jim Jones. He didn't have to say, the Kool-Aid doesn't work unless we all take it, because they forced everyone in his religious cult to take his Jim Jones juice, poisoned Kool-Aid, right? And they all died. And they're not going to quit, folks. They need population reduction. They need population fear. They need as many sick people as they want. And my discussion about zombies last week, I'm standing by that. I'm watching it. That the anger towards people who are pure and free of DNA manipulation, it's growing out there. So Frankie Rio says, everybody better embrace their inner honey badger. Power to us. Honey badger, folks. Look up a honey badger on YouTube sometime. Just make a note. Find out what a honey badger is. It's like the cross between like a skunk, a wolverine, a badger, and a rabid feminist. They're an incredible animal. I mean, they can be bit by a cobra and they live. Lions, folks, king of the jungle, looks at a honey badger and goes, no, thank you. I've got better things to deal with. And they go the other way. Honey badger can solve problems. Honey badgers are nasty. Not bad advice to become a honey badger. All right. To everybody, Stephen Conlon in jolly old England, to Orlando, to John, to Bonnie Blue, to everybody, Semper Fi. Salut. Prost. Wow. Scottish water all the way and a mouthful. Woo! Orlando checks in and says this with a $10 super chat donation. Orlando, thank you again. He says, hello, John. We can only hope the turds destroy themselves before they do any real damage to the rest of us. I know this is wishful thinking, but that is it, man. I want to refer to some science fiction. It was kind of a post-apocalyptic event movie, kind of a dystopian, what the hell just happened movie called Night of the Comet. It's very interesting if you take it in a different light. You see a comet passed over the planet in this movie, and the next day, 99% of the population was turned into a pile of ash. And there were a few that lived a little longer, and they became zombies and psychotic and psychopathic. And just a few people survived. This idea, folks, that most of those who will die are going to die very quickly. But those zombie types that live longer can live with the Jim Jones juice in their system. I think they're going to become the most conniving, the most dangerous, the most violent among us. I really think that a lot of people out there have taken this and they're just scared. They're afraid. They have regret. They've taken the Jim Jones juice. It's bothering them. They're having symptoms that they don't like. Symptoms like shortness of breath. Oh yeah, like the soccer player who had to quit and said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Every time I do something, I can't breathe, right? Done. They're scared. They're feeling the arthritis. They're feeling their thoughts being muddled, their brains disintegrating. They're becoming more sick, and they don't want to say anything. That's going on right now, folks. You don't know it, but it's going on right now. It's happening. Then there's another class of people who are taking this stuff, and it's making them violent. They're starting to have violent reactions. It's affecting them mentally. Physically, they're doing okay, but mentally, they're breaking down. And they're starting to make demands. They're becoming aggressive. They're becoming violent. And do you think that people like Bill Gates or 90 Proof Nancy, you think they're taking it? I don't think so. Right, do you think, let's see, do you think Tom Brady or LeBron James or any other American superhero and athletes, do you think they're taking the real Jim Jones juice? Or do you think they're taking a placebo? Because overseas, tennis stars, soccer players keeling over. There have been hockey players, professional, that have keeled over, and basketball players that have just kind of disappeared off the scene. But for the most part, American professional athletes are fine. But we've got problems around the world in other sports where I guess they figured they're low enough profile that no one would pay attention. It's getting nasty out there, folks. I want to thank you for starting off with the super chats very nicely. Those super chats bank into the Get the Fuck Back and Stay Back program here to keep the lights on in the bunker, to keep a good supply of spam in the pantry, to keep the doors on the Prepared Mind bunker lubricated and quiet, right? Keep the rust down. But folks, we've got a long, hard battle in front of us. And I want to thank you for coming on. Folks, Patreon is only 7 cents a day, $2 a month. We have 4 different YouTube channels, but they could kick us off here anytime. Anytime. That's okay. We've got 4 different channels, plus other secret backup channels, plus the preparedmind.club, which is not only a backup channel in and of itself, but it is our superstore for all things prepping, including food like Thrive Life, the best Armageddon chow I will recommend. Now, back on target, the 4 channels. There it is. Those are the 4 channels, folks. I want you on Patreon. Let's do this. Let's get back to your questions, your comments. This is the zoo. This is the zoo, and I'll make you famous. What do you want to talk about? Crazy Uncle is in the house, and he does this. He says, prepper tips. And Crazy Uncle is famous for prepper tips, the way Mr. Skylight is famous for quotes. So Crazy Uncle says this: be careful who you bring into your prepper group. It isn't just about what someone can do. It is also about personality. Oh, man, how to address it? It's a great point to make. Human relationships are super dynamic. I like to use the MBTI system, psychology, for understanding people, what motivates them, what drives them, what drives them crazy, what makes them happy, what do they want to do, right? There's these 16 personality types in this system. And there are just some personality types out there, folks, of people who are brilliant, who are very skilled, but will cause nothing but dissent in your group. Now, some people shine and they step above all of that pettiness in an emergency. The only way I think we can ever truly know who is going to be the best fit is to have a group, whether it's your family and friends, extended family, extended friends, and spend time with them. Spend time with them, and that way you really get to see how the personalities fit together, right? The TV show Walking Dead was a great example of all these different personality types and how they were good and bad. I know that's TV and that's drama. I get it. But it's also illustrative of the human condition, right? There's diplomat types and there's artists, and there's guardian types and there's intellectuals, right? some are really good, and some, like I said, are just a pain in the ass. But when it comes down to it, who do you want in there or not? The best way, just spend time with people. Work on problems together. Work on problem solving together. Like I said, you should be, from time to time, cooking your prepper chow to find out what it tastes like, right? How to cook with it. How many different ways can you cook the same ingredients and make them taste like different things? So psychologically, you don't get bored with food, which does happen, especially in hard times. Ah, man, we can have potatoes again, right? Ah, rice again, right? Oh my God, all we have is Spam, right? And so you've got to have good food. Practice with it. The same goes with spending time with people. Oh man, we got to listen to John again. Fred, this is terrible. Man, Martha's back again. You know, those people. And then how do you solve the problem with that? I mean, do you have prepper counseling with a psychologist? Or do you sit down and say, hey, this is serious shit. We've got life and death out there. You think the pressure is bad now. You know, can we come together, right, and deal with the problems at hand? So find out. Do your best. Don't test people. Don't shit test them and throw a bunch of crap on top of them to see their reaction. And they go, see, you failed. Not a good idea. But just start working with people so that if there are personality conflicts, you can work with them and work around them. Now, in the event shit is the fan, really bad, and you have to kind of throw together an ad hoc group and add some stragglers, you're going to have more problems. Just be prepared and understand that you can talk about them, work through them. But boy, I tell you what, there's one thing at the very top that's going to take precedent, and that's any life-saving situations you're in. Right? Shitting the fan is bad enough. It's bad enough, in my opinion. But Mad Max, I think, is really going to bring out both the best in people and the worst in people. We got Crazy Uncle back again with another $5 super chat donation. And he says, those that hammer their weapons into plowshares plow the fields for those that did not. Pick any country that surrendered their weapons here. Let's see. Let's start with Australia. That's right. They turned in their guns, their handguns, their shotguns, their rifles, with very few exceptions. They turned them in by the truckloads. Who is being put in quarantine camps? Who is being Jim Jones juicinated against their will? Who is being locked down? Who is being arrested? Who is being fined? Who is having their jobs taken? Who is having their businesses destroyed? Those that hammered their weapons into plowshares. Now, I've heard the argument that the Russians, prior to the Bolsheviks and the commies taking control and turning that into the Soviet Union 100 years ago, I've been told the Russians did have weapons. Well, they didn't do a very good job. There weren't many weapons. The weapons back then were archaic. Was the population a population of trained veterans and sportsmen, or were they Russians? And folks, I'm not making fun of the Russians. That is a hardy people who live in Russia, of all fucking places, right? Well, that would make sense. They're Russians. But, you know, crops, just in the best of circumstances, a hard country to live in, between agriculture, food, you know, and then also industrialization. An incredible country and people, but they failed. They didn't have enough weapons. Now, the United States, on the other hand, we have all of our weapons. We now have more weapons than we have ever had. We now have more ammunition in the private sector than has ever been held by the people for their own protection, their own defense. We have never had as many living veterans as we do now in the United States of America. Men and women who trained how to fight, how to defend, how to save, how to kill, how to get things done. Never before have there been more veterans as there are now. Never again have we been made more aware and faced a nastier form of tyranny, one that is not a hidden hand. one that is not really clever. It is now wide out in the open. It's just wide out. It's just right there. Joe Biden says, well, the way to handle the large demand on the auto supply is to make people poorer so they can't buy autos, and then they'll be more available because fewer can afford them. Make people poorer? That's naked stupidity, folks. That's naked communism. Unbelievable. Wanted to make sure that particular flask is dry to the bone. We've got Boru checking in big time with a $10 super chat donation. Thank you, Boru. He said people don't even realize it's basically Pfizer representing the White House in the Supremes. It's the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros, folks, is the snake in a circle that's eating its own tail, right? It's an ancient symbol, but rather than focus on that, I'm going to focus on, who is arguing for the United States government? It's exactly who you would expect to be arguing for the United States government with regard to its authority. Its authority to force its will upon the people because there's a medical emergency that they're using to justify its extra constitutional actions and desires. This country is fascist at this point. It is socialist fascist. And on the streets, we have communist socialists. They all think they're going to take control and win. Who do you think is going to win, folks? The little commies on the street or the corporate commies who have the military industrial complex backing them? I know who's really in charge, folks. It's not the street commies. It's not the academic commies. No. It's the big corporations. And in this particular game, in this round where we're at, big pharmaceutical, including Pfizer, they have shown their hand. Can you trust them with anything at this point? I wouldn't trust them to hand me a fucking aspirin. We're going to find out. Will the Supreme Court recognize the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence as superior, as supreme? Or will they recognize government authority in the face of a so-called emergency? Now, in the past, governments used or claimed an emergency was sufficient to temporarily, they said, temporarily suspend the Constitution and incarcerate people, put them in work camps, remove their rights, suspend habeas corpus. And then they did revert back. But in this case, do you think the government has any intention of letting go of its special powers, its special emergency powers? I doubt it. They've had 2 years to clean up this fucking mess they started with Cerveza bug. And all they've demonstrated, both here in the United States and around the world, is that they want it to last longer, that they want more, that they have more in mind for us. Whether you like it or not, they have more. I have no doubt, folks, no doubt. We're up to 873 people live. I want that number over 1,000 by the end of the show. We are 40 minutes into it, folks, but we go 2 hours. For 2 hours, we have more people watching live than the President of the United States. 2 hours. He can't get anyone to pay attention to a thing he says for 5 fucking minutes. Makes you wonder why, huh? Makes you wonder why. Get people on here, folks. We got some nasty stuff to talk about. Nasty stuff to talk about. Crazy Uncle is back. Super chat donation. He says, everyone likes the old-fashioned zombie apocalypse. Why? It is the only shit-it's-the-fan scenario that leaves the survivors with an abundance of resources. Yeah, that's an interesting observation. Yeah, in the zombie movies, 99% of the people die. 99% die. And the people who are left, they're like, hey, look at all these great houses we got. You know, well, great cars. Well, you need gasoline for that. For houses, you know, most everything in it, you need electricity. But still, I get the point. The point is well taken. The idea is that There's just a few people left, and you're all going to get along because you need each other at that point. And, the world's a different place. The problem is the zombies, and the zombies ultimately take care of themselves. They get rid of themselves. They die. Right? That's what zombies do. They die, and they take as many people with them as they can on their way out. But, life, right, needs so much to keep going, right? A sound immune system, clean food, clean water. Life takes a lot to keep going. Right? It doesn't take refrigeration, but it takes good food. It doesn't take a whole lot beyond just removing a few elements, and life starts to suffer. I think that injecting absolute garbage into your body creates a situation whereby you have compromised your system and your life. Right? I've been sick. I've had regular flu almost kill me 4 times, 3 times for certain, where I felt like I was going to die. This is way, way, way before cerveza bug. This is back before 2013. Just felt terrible, horrible, like I was going to die, like death would be better. Imagine feeling that permanently. Imagine feeling like your heart wasn't working permanently. Imagine being short of breath permanently, knowing you're falling apart. And that's the end of it. You're not going to get better. That's what a lot of people are realizing has happened to them. It is incredible, folks, what is happening. This is your show, folks. This is Sunday Night Live. Your questions, your comments, hit that super chat button. Jolene will put them up on the board. I'll read them. I'll make you famous. Let's see what's out there. We have Cottage Farm checking in with a $20 super chat donation. Thank you, Cottage Farm. And this is what she has to say. No need for me to become famous, but just want to remind everyone, $2 a month gets you awesome live John Monday through Friday on Patreon with us. I tell you what, you get Monday through Friday, you get Q&A every day in the afternoon on Patreon. You also get links to news, commentary, opinion, medical stuff, videos on medical stuff that you cannot get anywhere else on YouTube, period. You have to go to Patreon to get it. If you're a news hound and you know how to sniff out articles and information, then that's great for you. But on Patreon, we do the sniffing around for you. Jolene puts some stuff up. I put some stuff up. Uman is out there. Everyone is out there. And we try and get really good quality information for you to read, consider for yourself and think. But a Cottage Farm, I think, is right. There is so much more happening, and you can't get it all on YouTube. They won't let us talk about it, folks, literally. So your support on Patreon keeps the lights on. Your support here, your super chat donations as we go through Sunday Night Live are critical to keeping everyone going, to keep this information flow going. And I wanted to bring one more thing up. It appears that the Trump Truth Network is still coming. I think February 21st, they kick off. That is going to be very interesting to watch for a lot of different reasons. The number one reason is I want to see how many people run over there. I want to see if they really are free speech oriented. I want to see if they're fully funded. I want to see if their platforms are navigable, meaning can you operate on them, use them, find what you want. For example, suppose there's a Prepared Mind channel on the Trump network. Can you find it? Will you get notifications when things go live or become available? Will I be able to post information, post videos, express myself? Right? I'm not going to run over there, right? Are they fully funded? Meaning, do they have commercials and commercial capacity? Because that's the problem with all of these other ones, is they're not funded commercially. Consequently, they don't have the money to operate, and they can't attract good information creators. You know, that's what we've done here on YouTube with you guys. And we're over 900 viewers live. Keep up the sharing, everything else. Right here on YouTube, we've been able to use YouTube's drive, YouTube's money, YouTube's system, not to serve them, folks, but to serve us. The more people watch our videos, the more people thumbs up our videos, the more people subscribe here on YouTube, the more it tells YouTube, hey, get more of this guy out there. And so there's a conflict there. But it's funded by money, and they need money, so they have to keep the information going, right? Will the Trump network do the same thing? Will it use its money and resources to promote channels that have information that people want? We're going to find out. We have a huge fight in 2022. We have a midterm political election. Once again, Democrat politicians over the weekend falling out saying they're not going to run. They're not going to run for governor. They're not going to run for Congress. They're not going to run for the Senate. They're just backing away because they know they're going to get their clocks cleaned in the primaries and in the general election. We have Trump talking about and saying he's launching his network. We have the Supreme Court saying, hey, we've got a lot of cases we're going to talk about. And I kind of made a mistake with regard to the mandate issue. The Supreme Court wasn't just thinking about taking the case and commenting. Essentially, they've taken the case, they're hearing arguments, and they're kind of letting some breeze out of their mouths, kind of trial ballooning the planet. Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor, appointed by Obama, just a blatant communist. I mean, it's not even hidden, folks, not at all. These people are sick. Blatant communist, right, has already come out and lied publicly in the open. Is this partisan? Damn right it's partisan. But it's not Democrat, Republican, folks. It is socialism versus freedom. Now, you want to talk about a gulf, a distance between two concepts that cannot be bridged and are at odds. It would be freedom and socialism, whether it's social Democrats or socialist Republicans, it doesn't matter. Freedom doesn't like any socialism. So we're going to find out if the court is going to recognize our liberty, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, whether they're going to recognize common law, the Declaration of Independence, or whether they're going to recognize some other authority, some fabricated idea. You know, are they going to rest their case on the head of a pin with 1,000 angels, 1,000 angles, 1,000 lies? They're going to try and put a lot, folks, and balance it on the head of a pin, and then convince you they're right. You don't have to obey anything, folks, that you know is wrong, unlawful. Unbelievable. We're coming up on our first hour, at the end of our first hour, and I want to thank you guys again for the super chat donations. That keeps us going. And now we've got, oh shit, it's the Crispy Bacon Show. Crispy Bacon checking in, and he says, Jim Jones juice mandates are like a, quote, wish you were here card from the Titanic. I got to tell you, folks, Crispy Bacon, funny as fuck, brilliant guy. I wish you could all meet him the same way I wish you could all meet Uman. I wish you could all meet Jolene. I wish you could all meet just everybody working behind the scenes at the R Syndicate. But what Crispy Bacon is saying is interesting, right? Like everyone who got on board the Titanic, when they got on board the Titanic, what did they do? They're waving and throwing those fucking streamers off there. We're on the greatest ship ever. We're making the best move. This idea is great. It's unsinkable. It's unstoppable. Yeah, how wrong were they? Right? We've been told by the experts. Well, you know, I mean, experts built the Titanic. Right? Never mind. I won't even go down the conspiracy theory part of the Titanic. But yeah, wish you were here. And my thing is, no thanks. Hasta la vista. Enjoy your ride on the Titanic. I don't need that, right? I don't need to feel special the way people who have gone out and they virtue signal. They wear the badge. Yeah, look at me. I got my I voted pin or sticker. That's very similar to what they're doing with this Jim Jones juice crap and their IDs, passport cards. You know, hey, I can go into this restaurant. You can't because I'm a first-class citizen. It's like, well, enjoy your ride on the Titanic. I have to tell you, and thank you for the great donation, Chris. I have to tell you and everyone out there, you meaning you, and then everyone, these people are scared. They're scared and they're angry. Their government has scared them. And they're compliant and they're weak. And so they have complied in their weakness with a government that I think doesn't really care about them, that wants to use them as guinea pigs. That's how a lot of people feel now, like guinea pigs, scared, confused, but they're going to keep doing as they're told. Right? How much Jim Jones juice do you need? Folks, if you saw someone, no, let me go the other way. If you heard people were being poisoned by taking Tylenol, would you look at that bottle of Tylenol in your bathroom a little bit suspiciously? If you heard people were being poisoned by Tylenol, not just internationally, but here in the United States, in your country, would you start looking at your bottle a little bit suspiciously? If people in your city were getting sick and some of them dying from Tylenol, what would you think of that bottle of Tylenol you bought and the Tylenol you took last week and then this week? What if someone you knew, a friend, a family member, took Tylenol and got sick and is permanently injured or died? What happens when you know somebody who took that poison Tylenol? Are you going to keep taking it? Are you going to buy more Tylenol? Are you going to like, nah, I don't want this bottle. I don't want this Pfizer brand Tylenol. I want the Merck brand Tylenol. Are you going to change to another one and go, yeah, this is fine now? How much do you have to see? What happens if you know somebody who died? What happens if you watch them take Tylenol and just keel over right in front of you? You think that's cute and funny? You line up next? Do you want to be the next one in line to get a shot of Tylenol, a shot of tequila, a shot of Jack Daniels? Are you going to be the next one to line up and take your Jim Jones juice? Just a little question to ask. How much do you have to see, right? I have my parody. And thank you again, Mr. T, for all of the great intros, outros, parodies, transition pieces, everything. Thank you, Mr. T. He did some great Jim Jones juice commercials for us, parody commercials. You know, satire.
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America.
It's all satire, folks. But the joke's on them. They fucked up. They keep thinking that they can take more and that the experts aren't lying, while their own eyes and ears tell them about all the people around the world, in their country, in their city, people they know are being killed and harmed. And they're like, give me another one. Give me some more. Give me that Jim Jones juice, right? Give it to me.
Hey folks, at the Prepared Mind channel, we take your health very seriously. That's why we recommend the Jim Jones juice. That's right, the Jim Jones juice. Get yourself a can today.
Just the friendly homes of America are always prepared for hospitality. Not only on Thanksgiving Day, but every day, all the year around. No matter who comes to call or who happens to drop in.
There's nothing like hitting the Jim Jones juice, laying one down, and feeling that stuff enter your bloodstream. Oh.
Did Bill leave his pop and candy only half eaten? No, sir.
Oh, heart attack. Defibrillator. Ah! Clot. Ah! Don't forget, call an ambulance when you get your Jim Jones juice, because it's that good. Oh. 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 Oh.
I tell you what, we use parody and satire to illustrate concepts that you get to consider, folks. And we are at 946 people live. We want to hit 1,000, folks, 1,000. So send out links, send them out. Tell people, come on live and learn something. Share your ideas in the comments section. Contribute to the Get the Fuck Back and Stay Back Fund at the at the Super Chat button. Folks, am I wrong? Am I full of shit about this? Right? The Jim Jones Juice parodies. Is that all wrong? How about this? I've talked about Australia being the most diabolical country on the planet with regard to lockdowns, mandates, punishments, arrests, fines, quarantines, camps where you're forced to go against your will. A double Jim Jones Juice, 23-year-old powerlifting champion with no underlying health conditions, meaning they had no comorbidity, no pre-existing health issues, died, folks. Died. Why? Died because of cerveza bug. Immune system failure. Folks, not only people keeling over from heart attacks, strokes, myocarditis, inflamed large heart. I've heard of all kinds of crazy stuff, folks. Aortas bursting, fucking pulmonary issues, that's lungs. Incredible failures. But immune systems are failing also. As just detailed, immune systems are failing also. Dies. Perfectly young, healthy people who 1 year ago, prior to Jim Jones Juice, had an incredible chance of surviving it. Now we're seeing people who should be surviving the cerveza bug. They shouldn't even be getting it. They're getting it. They shouldn't be hospitalized, yet they are. They should be able to beat it with the treatments out there that you and I know of. I love my horse. I give him horse warmer. There's known treatments out there, yet they're dying. It's not because it's worse, folks. It's because their systems are failing. We've got Crazy Uncle with a $2 super chat donation. And he says, drinking alcohol is an antiviral too. So no shot. Alcohol. You know that the stuff they want you to put on your hands, the alcohol rub, right? The hand sanitizer. It's made with alcohol and it kills germs. It's supposed to kill cerveza bugs. So if it works on your hands, why wouldn't it work in your mouth? That's the Prepared Mind juice right there. Get your Scottish water. We got Diane Mazinski is now a YouTube member. Welcome, Diane, to the YouTube club. We also have the Patreon club. Of all the clubs to be a part of, I think the Patreon club is the best, but we welcome you. Everything you guys do supports our efforts to keep the news flowing, to keep the ideas flowing, everything. And now we've got Ryzen Ability checking in with a $9.99 super chat donation. And this is what he says. Washington State is about to vote on the 12th, that's Wednesday, for detention of so-called health threats. That is individuals and groups, meaning individuals and families or other groups. Also mandatory Jim Jones juice for K through 12 kids admission to public schools. You know, I've got a friend and she is a smart ass. smartass. She loves to ask questions like, it's so good that you have to coerce people. It's so good. And she does this perfectly. You mean it's so good you got to threaten me with losing my job? It works so well that nobody wants it. Brilliant. I just love the brilliance of Prepared Mind fans who share with me their toxic humor, right? How funny they are. This is incredible. Yeah. Washington State, it wants to be California, but it's not Washington State. Washington State is actually a very large state, folks. A lot of square miles there. But it is the capital city, the SeaTac area. I believe the capital is Olympia, Washington, I think. I can't remember anymore. It's Washington State. Who gives a fuck about its capital? But the rural areas of the state, which of course are outnumbered population-wise by the big city. This is happening with every big city in the country that's full of scumbag socialists. And right now, conservative, God-fearing, constitutional, veteran, patriotic Americans are leaving these blue cities in droves. They're migrating to free areas, free states, free cities. They're going other places to the south, etc., because they want to be free. And so these states, they're going to be worse. They're going to be worse off. States like Washington, where their people are going to be told, oh yeah, the government has the power to come to your house, knock on your door, enter. Do they even need to knock, or can they just break down the door? How do you know, folks, when someone's breaking down your door, how do you know that's the government? How do you know their warrant, their papers are in line? You should be able to stop them and go, stop, halt. Show me your papers, government. And before you're allowed to enter, I'm going to finish reading them. And then, if I feel inclined, I will notify my attorney. And you can wait until my attorney has gone over your paperwork and found that it is in proper condition, that your papers are good, before I allow you entry onto my property. What do you think the government would say to that? Well, of course, they would laugh at you and arrest you for interfering with police matter. That's what they would say. That's what they would do. But as far as I'm concerned, folks, they need to step the fuck back. You barge into my house. I don't know who you are. I don't care if you're yelling police. Let's see. Criminals lie. Criminals break the law. Criminals pretend to be something they're not. And how many government officials do you know of or have heard of that are corrupt, embezzling, lying, cheating, stealing, sex offenders, criminals, etc.? Governor Cuomo. How many of them are hypocrites and liars like AOC, Whitmer, Pritzker, Brown, Newsom, de Blasio? My favorites, of course. They're a bunch of corrupt, lying scum. Do you believe them? Why should I believe any government official that would break into someone's house and claim to have the authority? There's going to come a time, and I'm not promoting this nor encouraging it, but there's going to come a time when people just say, nuh-uh, you don't get to just barge in and shout at everyone and point guns at everyone. You, the government, are the threat. And as Ronald Reagan, President of the United States, said, right? Government isn't the answer to our problems. Government is the problem. We got Jason M checking in with a 223, a $22.30 super chat PayPal donation. He says, been watching you for years. Thank you, Jason. My 3 Jim Jones juiced up Marine dad isn't so good. Keep buying freedom seeds. God bless. Jason, I'm sorry to hear that your dad, who took 3 Jim Jones juice shots, 1, 2, 3, he took 3 of them, isn't so good. For those of you inclined to pray for Jason's dad. I just know of too many people that have taken this garbage and have seen their health decline, and even had friends of mine, people that I know, either get sick or die from that crap. You know, and again, I like to make fun of it. I like to parody it because I'm allowed to use satire, folks. I can't come out and use the precise words that I need to use. I can't come out and put on the precise videos with healthcare experts because I'm not allowed to. All I can do is make jokes, talk to you guys, share some ideas, keep it, you know, neutral, non-specific, and ask you, do your own research. Don't listen to me ever. I don't know anything. Do your own research. We're at 960 people live, folks. I just want to touch that 1,000 mark. I want 1,000 live. We're right there right now. So close. Thanks again, Jason, for the great super chat donation. I pray that your father recovers and regains his health. I don't want to see anyone sick, folks. I don't want to see anyone die from this. I would love it if it was safe, if it was effective. I still wouldn't want it for myself because I don't trust them. I don't trust the people that say this is necessary. I don't trust the people that are involved in its development. I don't trust them because they've lied. I don't trust them because they've been sneaky and shitty, underhanded, heavy-handed. I don't trust them because they are government. I trust Ronald Reagan when he said, government isn't the solution to our problems, government is the problem. Marge Taylor Greene said something very similar to that the other day. Representative Big Marge. It is beyond obvious at this point. People like Gil Bates, people like Sorge Goros, people like Dr. Drippy Fawcett. They are not good people. They have expressed disdain for humanity. They have expressed ill will towards the little people. They claim to respect our opinion and our beliefs, but then claim that there comes a time when they can tell you what to do, and that's good enough. That their power, their authority, allows them to do as they will. They don't respect jack shit, folks. They despise your rights and your freedoms. They sure do. We got Chester Wolf the Griffin checks in with a big old super chat donation, $10 there. And he says, Pennsylvania is about to get hit with major ice storms. Isn't this like a polar blast or a thunder bomb or a butt whistle? I mean, what the hell? What are they calling storms these days? Anyways, he says Pennsylvania is about to get hit with major ice storms. I think we are in trouble. When it snowed last week, they did not plow any of the major highways. We may not have power for days. This is important. When I was a young lad, prior to graduating high school, I lived at 3,000 foot elevation in the Sierra Nevada mountains, up above Sacramento, to the east of Sacramento. And if it was snowing, you would hear the snow plows start at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. Whenever the snow was there, they would start plowing the highways. Why don't they do that now? Why is it that all of a sudden, right, there's no government response? Caltrans back then, they got the fucking job done. They got it done. Now there's a fire. When a fire occurs in Northern California, where did the governor send California firefighters? He sent them to Oregon. That's right, folks. He sent them to Oregon. How does sending your firefighters to Oregon help put out fires in California? It doesn't. They almost want things to go bad. There's a power problem in California, folks. The demand for electricity is higher than the system's ability to supply that power. It overheats lines, right? It weakens the system. It draws down everything. You have fires, you have emergencies. Have they upgraded anything? Have they fixed anything? How hard would it be for them, those with money in the billions of dollars in California, both companies and the government, the access, the right of way, the knowledge, the skill to put up bigger, heavier wires, to carry more load, to put in more transformers, to get more power brought into California. Because in California, apparently they're too fucking stupid to make their own power. Instead, they create scenarios whereby everyone loses power for days and they burn down forests. I remember going, it's been snowing for 3 or 4 hours. This is before I left California back in 2020. Before I left California in 2020. I left on July 11th. As many of you will remember, all of a sudden the Prepared Mind channel was black. And I did a broadcast live from the green tank as I was leaving California. You bet, folks. When I was back in California, it'd be snowing for 2 hours, 3 hours. Where's the snowplow? The power used to go out. And I was not part of the PG&E power district, folks. I wasn't. I was part of a little offshoot, a little private, or shall we say, a separate public utility district than PG&E. And when the power went out, these were private guys and the community knew them and they knew the community and they get that fucking power on fast. The only time there was ever a problem, folks, is when the state got involved. When the governments get involved at the higher levels, they just jack everything up. So yeah, Pennsylvania, you got some ice storms coming. Expect the power to go out. Expect them not to plow the roads. Same with any other state in the union. If the power goes out, expect it to stay out. If there's a national emergency, expect them to fuck things up. Expect it. We're at 976 live viewers, folks, well after an hour. That is way, way, way more than the President of the United States gets. I want to top 1,000. Share this video. Share the URL. Share the internet address. Get it out there. Get people watching. Get it live. Get them waking up. And that was noted earlier in the show. People are waking up. What they want to know is more. They want more information. They want a good site, a good place for it. This channel provides that information. Patreon, especially, we provide some information that'll make your skin crawl, that'll scare you to death. Not because we want to scare you, because the difference between what you get with mainstream media and what you get with this channel is so stark, so incredibly powerful. It is mind-numbing to the idiot class. To those who want to be informed, it'll wake you up. It'll make you want to put an extra spoon of sugar in your coffee so you can be wide awake as you learn. That's what people want, and that's what the Prepared Mind offers, folks. A chance for people to wake up. They want it now. Before, they used to hide from you. And a lot of them will still hide, a lot of them will still deny, but as pointed out earlier, people are waking up. Some are wide awake. But ignorance, not that they're stupid, but they're being held in ignorance by the likes of Dr. Drippy, the mainstream media, asshole Biden in Washington, D.C. Wake up, folks. It's coming. We're at 995, just a few more people away. And Crazy Uncle is back. He says, the reason the cops don't want to gather the anti-shaft, they would have to take all of our farmers and ranchers, the folks that can shoot the deck off a fly at 600 meters. I see what you're saying. The cops don't want to gather guns. They don't want to do gun confiscation. We just crossed 1,000. Welcome, everybody. Let's keep rolling with it. Rolling live. We're talking gun confiscation. Who wants to do it? Who doesn't want to do it? Folks, in big cities, most of the population is Democrat. That's why they're so blue and so fucked up. The police department is headed by the chief of police, who answers to the mayor. The mayor is elected by the people, who are mostly communist socialist idiots. So the mayor appoints a social communist idiot to run the police department. They scare out as many Republicans as they can. So the police in big cities are heavily weighted toward being pro-government authoritarianism and tyranny, and they're more than willing to violate your rights. Now, conversely, out in the country, you have sheriffs. Sheriffs are elected by the people. These are red areas that elect sheriffs. So you have patriotic, constitution-loving sheriffs who then want to hire patriotic, constitution-loving sheriff's deputies. And their policies lean towards being free and having our rights intact. It's not to say there aren't assholes in the country, and it's not to say there aren't patriotic police in the cities. It's just you've got one or the other, and it's quite telling how this all works. Now, whether you live in the city or the country, you just might be a veteran or a sportsman who can shoot the dick off a mosquito at 300 meters with iron sights. That being the case, folks, yeah, they don't want to collect firearms. Now, all the police that are constitutional, patriotic, law-abiding police and sheriffs, they want to keep their guns too. They don't want to give guns up. In fact, I know a policeman who was a policeman, then retired or resigned and became an EMT, first responder, and is now working as a policeman again in Canada. And I asked him why. Lovingly, playfully. You guys might remember him from his channel years and years ago that he had on YouTube. But he said it's because, at least as a police officer in Canada, I have my guns. He is pro-rights in Canada, this guy. You guys might remember Luke, one hell of a good guy. It was great to hear from him the other day. He's been staying in contact with me over the years. Great guy, very reasonable, very articulate, very smart. There's a lot of them out there, folks. But you can ask any policeman, do you want to collect guns, confiscate them? And they'll probably tell you no. Now, some will tell you no because they believe you have rights. And others will tell you no because they don't want to get shot. Nobody wants to get shot, folks. Getting shot hurts really, really, really bad. Right? The bullet bounces off your skin and it kind of ricochets off your bone. I mean, it fucking hurts. Whether it just takes some skin off or some hide or goes through them, it hurts. All right, we got Crazy Uncle back. He says, many states require you to be shafted to plow snow. I think what he means by shafted to plow snow, I think he means Jim Jones juicinated. We're seeing this in every field now. They're shutting down hospitals because there's not enough juicinated doctors and nurses and staff to run hospitals. Snowplows? You bet. Any state job. If you don't have the Jim Jones juice, you can't go to work. Makes sense, right? Let's shut a country down over the common cold. Oh, this is just amazing, folks. They're now telling us, by the way, thank you very much, Crazy Uncle. Yeah, we got to shut everything down because not enough people want to obey Joe Biden. That makes a lot of fucking sense, doesn't it? And oh yeah, folks, the stupid is coming. Before the end of January, you're going to see some incredible actions by President Xi Biden. You're going to see some incredible action. Some policy changes with respect to Canada and Europe and China. It's going to blow your minds. It's coming. Hang on. Now, back to shutting everything down. Right? Why, folks? Why does it make any sense? To me, it makes no sense. But they're going to keep pushing it. Incredible stuff. Where do we go from here, folks? Where do we go from here as a country, as free thinkers, right? As free thinkers. The government is not quitting. I've told you that come the new year, we're going to see some new things happen. We're going to see some bigger steps taken. But first, we've got Ferdinando Sharipa. He says, just want to help keep the lights on with a $4.99 super chat donation. Thank you, Fernando. Another thing you can do, folks, is you can make donation and have an anonymous question. You can just tell Jolene, don't put my name up in highlights, right? And she'll put your questions up there for you. A lot of people don't want to be famous. A lot of people are just quiet. They just want to sit back and watch. Or they don't have anything really to say. Do all you can. Do what you can to support the channel, to support other people, to support your neighbors, your family, your friends. A lot of people are wanting this information, but they're going to pretend like they don't. A lot of people want this information, and they're not quite ready And some of them are now quite ready, needing it, wanting it. It's our job to continue to help. We all help in the ways we can. We got Miss Marilyn checking in with $20 super chat donation. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Miss Marilyn. Every dollar helps keep us rolling here. This week is going to get nasty. And I want to bring up something that happened. It happened a couple of weeks ago, and now they're back. There's this mysterious group. We use the term mysterious because we don't really know who they are. Right? They're called the Federal Patriot Front, or the Patriot Front, and they're dressed right in khakis. Right? It's like they're wearing beige Dockers. Right? That's their pants. They wear Dockers, boots, jackets. But to me, folks, they look like they're dressed like the mercenaries who worked the Boston bombing scene. It's incredible, folks. I see a massive false flag being made right now in front of us. There's a mystery group that no one knows who it is. It's supposedly another patriot group that is just showing up. They hide their identity. They want everyone to know that they're well organized, well funded, well armed. They like to wave the American flag. They are presenting themselves as patriots, and no one knows who they are. Literally, no one knows how you get to be a part of that group. Who are they? To me, they look and act like a bunch of agents provocateur. They look like a bunch of mercenaries, folks. That is, hired hands who are showing up pretending to be patriots so they can take action, and the government can look and say, yes, that is a right-wing patriot group. Folks in the government can say whatever they want. They can look at Antifa, clearly a terrorist organization that commits acts of terror, and that is the use of violence or the threat of violence against people, groups, or government that are engaged in making a political statement and trying to extort their personal and political will by threatening violence. Terrorists. The government sees Antifa and what it's demanding and what it's doing and says that's not terrorism. But they want to look at Trump supporters who don't like the results of some government business, and they say that that is terrorism. They look at parents who don't want their children taught lies, and they say, the government says parents are terrorists. Literally, folks, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the Attorney General of the United States of America has labeled parents as domestic terrorists because they don't like what the government is doing with their children. Unbelievable. And we're well above 1,000 viewers live at 1 hour and 23 minutes, almost an hour and a half, folks, closing in on 90 minutes, rolling live. And we have over 1,000 people listening, and the President of the United States can't even get 500. And most of them that show up are there just to give them a thumbs down. Unbelievable. Thank you, and thank you for making the message loud and clear to those that would claim to be our intellectual and moral superiors. The mainstream media, big tech, social media, and the Democrats and rhinos of Washington, D.C. As far as I'm concerned, they can suck it. We got Red Pill Files checking in with a 556 super chat donation, and I'm John here for everyone who's just shown up. We're live in the bunker talking about everything that's gone wrong and what you should be doing for yourself, getting prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Go to thepreparedmind.club. Compare prices, look around, see what you need. But here, talk to people in the comments. Get into understanding what is happening and what you should do about it. Back to Red Pill Files. He says, hospitals are the killing field. Giving non-Jim Jones juice remdesivir. We lost a friend recently, went in for pneumonia and ended up with kidney failure. Kidney failure, renal failure. I wonder how that happened. There are treatments that are effective, and there are treatments, folks, that kill people. Calling hospitals killing fields, that doesn't seem far from the truth. It doesn't seem far from the truth. I know hospitals are supposed to be full of the experts, the real medical wizards. If that's the case, why are so many hospitals firing their doctors? Why are so many hospitals firing their nurses? Why are so many hospitals shutting down? Why are so many clinics shutting down? Because their own employees refuse to take the medications and Jim Jones juice that the hospital is demanding. Folks, if the doctors won't take it, and if the nurses won't take it, do you think it's a good idea if you take it? I mean, I have said for years and years, I would rather get my medical attention from a veterinarian, a doctor of veterinary medicine, a DVM. I would rather be treated, operated on, cared for by one of them than one of these faceless, nameless, generic doctor in a box at some hospital who is more concerned with paying back his student loan than ensuring that me or you or our families gets proper medical attention. He would rather push a pharmaceutical on you than give you what he suspects is the proper medication. Is that medicine, folks, or is it, as suggested, a killing field, a place to go to die? Jason is back, and he sent another 556 super chat donation, and 556, one of my favorite numbers. Not going to lie to you, I love the 556 number. He says, I've got 2.5 million miles under my belt and wonder what will happen when 30% and more of the truck drivers quit over the new mandate, bullshit mandate that comes out. Thoughts? Well, the President of the United States of America, in his high and mighty, omniscient, ever-present brilliance, the infallible President Xi Biden, right? He thinks there's not a supply chain issue, right? No, there's no supply chain issue problems. No, it's just people have so much money. The economy is so blisteringly hot that people are buying everything off the shelves faster than it can be stocked up. Well, he's lying, but he's good at that. That's really what he's good at. And I'm not even sure if Joe Biden knows what he's doing. Cheers to everyone, including all of our good friends overseas in Scotland, England, Australia, New Zealand, down in Mexico, South America, up in Canada, in the Netherlands. Who's our good friend in the Netherlands? Remy, right? Folks all over the world. We have Prepared Mind audience members that check in and let us know what the hell is going on. And here we have Jason saying, guess what? Truck drivers are going to quit over this mandate, the Jim Jones juice mandate in trucking. It's not that everyone's rich. In fact, the economy is faltering. It is not doing well at all. Surprise, surprise. And Joe Biden is the least popular president, not only in my lifetime, but possibly of all time. Kamala Harris is the least popular vice president I think that the country has ever seen, and possibly the planet has ever seen. In all of human history, she may be the least popular vice president. Anywhere that they have a second in charge, right? She's rang the bell as the worst ever. God bless the Scotch. Let me tell you. My thoughts, we're going to have a crisis on our hands like has never been seen. It is completely manufactured. It is not real. How can you go through life and pretend that the government is good, that everything is just fine, that there's not a problem? I don't need to be a prepper. I don't need to be a prepper because Joe Biden says everything's fine. Do you believe your own frickin' eyes, or do you believe an old doddering fool in the White House when it comes to supply chain issues? I'm continuing to get pictures from around the country, various places, Idaho, Washington, up in the Northeast, up in Maine, across the country in the heartland. People send me pictures from down in the Southwest of stores, and they say, look at these shelves. Now, I've been getting these pictures for months, but first it's one little section, then it's a whole section, then it's a shelf, then it's a whole aisle. I've seen pictures of Costco where they should have 4 layers of material, merchandise stacked up. They're down to 3, then they're down to 2. Now we're getting down to the bottom rack. Slowly, our country is being depleted of its resources and goods that are needed for survival. Are you prepared? I'm not saying are you prepared, folks, to live completely off the grid on your own like a hardcore caveman. No, I'm not asking that. I'm asking, are you prepared for short-term emergency? For supply chain interruptions that could last a week or 2 weeks, or could last a month. Are you prepared for that at least? At the very least, could you go a whole month without having to go to the store for food or toilet paper? Do you have just that much? But understand, the store is out. The store is out of, say, baked beans, hamburger, and toilet paper. And they say, we're going to have it in 2 weeks. And you go back in 2 weeks, and they still don't have it. And now they're out of peanut butter, Spam, and rice. And you're like, thought you were going to have it in 2 weeks. They're like, it's coming next week. And you show up next week, and they go, we had some, but everyone came in and bought it. So then you show up at 4 weeks, and finally you can get another roll of toilet paper, 2 jars of peanut butter, a can of Spam, and 5 pounds of ground beef. Can you make it a month, folks? I mean, is that what you need to see? And this isn't for you and me, folks. These are rhetorical questions that are going to have to be asked by people who have no clue what they're doing because they've kept their head in their sand and their ass up in the air, ostensibly for Sniffy Joe to take a big whiff. Unbelievable. Are you prepared? You don't have to be Joe Armageddon. You don't have to be G.I. Jane. You don't have to be Recon Marine to survive SHTF. You just have to be smart. You have to have some good ideas, some good knowledge, some good idea of what is happening and what you can do about it, right? Chance favors the prepared mind. We the People checks in with a $1.99 super chat donation. It says, let's go, Brandon. You bet. Let's go, Brandon. Way to go, Joe. Let's put more mandates out there and shut down more of the system and then pretend like everything's just fine. Unbelievable. Get ready, folks. Get ready for President Clinton. Starting to feel more and more like that old witch is behind the scenes pulling some strings. I think she might be competing with the Obama faction, not to change, folks, the paradigm or the direction the country's going, but they're fighting amongst themselves to see who gets to run this circus into the ground. We got Crazy Uncle checking back in. He says, job interview. They asked me if I took the Jim Jones juice. I responded, quote, you are committing a felony just asking me that. HIPAA laws. She went pale and stammered. You bet. There are laws, folks, on the book right now under the HIPAA. They're HIPAA laws, HIPAA, HIPAA laws. It's about privacy, your rights. They do not have the right to ask you about your health care. Folks, they used to not be able to hire you or not hire you based on your age, your race, right? Your gender, your sexual orientation. They couldn't ask you that and deny you a job or show favoritism for you for being any such thing. It's called discrimination, for or against. They aren't allowed to ask healthcare questions. Your health is your business. All of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that it's not my business, that every store I go to has a right to ask me about my health and my health care, the status of my medication that I'm taking, right? If they can ask one thing, they can ask about anything. Who regulates them? Who stops them? Well, it's supposed to be government, and government is saying, ask these questions. The government is violating their own laws that they created, folks. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. How would they like it, folks, if we asked them about their health? Do you think we could find out what Joe Biden's status is? Well, never mind Joe Biden. How about Hunter Biden? When was the last time Hunter Biden had a blood test? And how much cocaine, crack, or weed was found in his sample? Right? How much drugs is that guy taking? Unbelievable. Folks, we're actually very close to 1,100 people live. 100 people live. And I want to remind everyone, folks, I want to remind everyone about the nature of this channel. Yeah, it seems kind of information driven, but it's satire. I've been told by YouTube, you need to let everyone know what the context is of your show. It's satire, folks. I'm a big smartass. I'm 6'6", 270 pounds of smartass talking about current events. That's what I am. I don't violate any rules, terms of service, community guidelines, but we sure have some fun here, don't we? I want to thank everyone for showing up. It has been a blast, and we're going to keep going. We've got Mr. Fubo with a 556 super chat donation. And he says, don't forget, Congress and their staff are exempt from the Jim Jones juice. Isn't that incredible? I seem to remember that with Obamacare, Congress people, that is House of Representatives members, Congress, and the Senate, and all of their staff were exempt from the Obozo Obamacare guidelines and requirements. They could do whatever they wanted. Here we have it again. They're exempt, folks, from having to take Jim Jones juice. Why? I thought it was safe. I thought Jim Jones juice was effective. I thought there's nothing to worry about. I thought that if we don't all get it, then it just doesn't work. I keep hearing that the more people have, the worse it gets. That Jim Jones juice isn't really good for you. Right? Just like the real Jim Jones juice that was taken back in the 1970s. When Jim Jones himself took his religious cult, that is, he was a charismatic leader, a recognized authority figure within his church of lunatics. Well, all of the idiots followed Jim Jones down to French Guiana. All of the idiots did everything they were told. Handed over their money. I believe it was one more of those cults, religious cults, that abused their children in order to follow their religious leader, their spiritual leader, their charismatic leader. And ultimately, the charismatic leader told them to drink a Kool-Aid concoction, a concoction I call the Jim Jones juice. And back in the 1970s, folks, that Jim Jones juice, it was poison inside of Kool-Aid. They all drank it. It worked, and they all died. Is that what we want to do? No, thank you. Congress knows better, folks. This is like your parent saying, you all have to eat your liver and onions, right? You all have to, eat everything on your plate. You have to do everything. And then they just eat, what? Lobster and filet mignon. They get to eat the good stuff while they tell us, right, that we get to eat dog food. Unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable where they're taking us. Incredible. They're hypocrites of the highest order. Now, it has been revealed that the Michigan Democratic governor that's in place right now, I like to call her Governor Gretchen the Grinch Whitmer, Heil Whitmer. Guess what she was bragging about? All right, she led a bunch of people in a protest inside the Missouri Capitol building. If you use their definition, folks, use the Democrats' definitions, use the mainstream media's definitions, use the FBI's definition of what she did, and you could call it an insurrection. When you lead a political parade of protesters into a Capitol building, that is now known as an insurrection, an attempt to take over the legitimate government, and it is a threat to democracy, and lives are in danger, and entire governments can be taken over this way by a bunch of protesters who are just standing inside a building. Well, Governor Gretchen Whitmer was bragging about doing that very thing herself. So let's use their definition against them. Who is going to go arrest Governor Gretchen while they file full proper charges against her? She's admitted to the crime. By their own definition, the crime. You see, they have special rules for themselves. You cannot protest. They can. You cannot deny the Jim Jones juice. They can. They can have all the guns. You cannot. They want to take your guns, folks. That's a big one. It's coming in 2022. We have a huge election year. It is not a presidential election. It is an off-year election, right? Non-presidential, but Congress is up for grabs. The Senate's up for grabs. Governors are up for grabs. State houses are up for grabs. And people have had enough of this lockdown bullshit. They're going to vote, folks. The President of the United States, his policies are a failure according to polls. Nobody likes them. They don't like his stupid ass Build Back Better Green New Deal horse shit. They don't like it. The people don't like it. It's incredible, folks. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going on around the world. Not in Australia, but this time I'm going to take you to France. And I want you to think about this. Last week, President, Premier, godlike idiot in charge of France, known as Emmanuel Macron, said that he is going to make life for the unvaccinated much more difficult. He said, I'm going to piss them off. Right? They're in lockdown. They're being punished. They're being fined. They're being locked out. They're being denied their rights in France, just like they are in Australia, Canada, the United States, and other places. France is no different, no better. But this weekend, there has been a massive protest in France against Macron because of his dehumanizing comments about those who refuse the Jim Jones juice. They want to make decisions for themselves. This guy laughs at them, insults them, and says, I'm going to piss you off. Meanwhile, you have immigrants come into the country of France, refuse to become French, refuse to assimilate into the culture, acknowledge and accept and learn the laws, and become French. Instead, they want to bring their shitball country that they fled from and all the crap that comes with it and their culture and bring it into France. Macron won't do shit about them. He won't tell them to do anything, but he's going to punish the French and say, folks, he said this, you're not French to me, right? You're no longer a French citizen as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to piss you off. Well, the people of France said, we'll piss you off. If he thought that by saying these things, he was going to make them want to follow his edicts, his commands, he's becoming a tyrant like King Louis. And if you recall, and again, I'm not condoning this, but I'm saying it is a matter of history and it is a matter of fact that the people had enough of the tyrant King Louis, and they captured him, arrest, if you will, but there was no trial. They knew who he was and what he did. King Louis was a shithead that was causing his people great and irreparable harm, destruction, and death by overtaxing them and undernourishing them by denying them the ability to get food. That is, live their lives without tyranny. So yeah, they captured or arrested King Louis, did not hold trial. They marched him to a guillotine on a platform and cut his head off. These war of wills, that is, what is stronger, the will of Emmanuel Macron or the will of the people? It is a psychological war, and we just topped 1,100 live viewers. As this show has gone, it has become stronger and stronger and stronger with live viewers. There is no other channel that I know of that can do that, and I want to thank all of you for doing just that. No other channel can go for hours. No other channel increases its viewer as it goes, its viewership. You guys are fucking awesome. Now, back to the comments at hand. The war of the wills. Who is stronger, the people or Macron? Macron has the police. Macron has the military. Oh, by the way, I believe it was the military. Speaking of the foreign invasion that they're dealing with, the military, active duty officers and enlisted, said there's going to be a civil war in France if they don't fix things. Well, Macron hasn't fixed jack shit. In fact, the little bastard has made it worse. The war of the wills. The will of the people versus the will of the political elitists who don't give a shit about the people. That is the same problem, folks, that Napoleon had, that King George had, that King Louis had. It's the same problem, folks, when these elites get in power and they use the military to harm people. When the military learns that they too are not loved and that they're part of the expendable crowd, they will turn on a political leader. It's not a coup at that point. It's a fight for survival. The war of wills, folks, will become a violent revolution. Maybe. What do you think? Macron says, I'm going to piss them off. And the people says, fuck you, we'll piss you off. Right? That means the people are bowing up. They're stiffening their backs. They're not quitting. Let's move on to Northern Pike with a $5 super chat donation. He says, I believe descendants of free men will not be ruled. Molanlab 1776. I am the descendant of free men. I am not first generation or second generation from some turd hole of a country that didn't have freedom. But what's interesting, folks, is just a few generations ago, people used to come to this country primarily for freedom. They didn't come here for handouts, for government assistance. They didn't come here, right, so that other people would enrich them. They came here for personal liberty. And they knew that because of that liberty, they could succeed. They could get ahead. They believed that applying knowledge, wisdom, education would get them ahead in this country. Didn't matter if you were brown, white, tan, black. It didn't matter. If you're a good person, if you speak the language, if you understand the culture and follow the laws, good things and opportunity can happen, right? If you are a likable, affable, admirable, decent person who understands how to communicate and has some charm and charisma, doesn't hurt, does it? You don't have to be handsome. You can just be a good human being and people will accept you and you can succeed. That is not, though, the formula that is followed today. Now, the ugliest of people can come here. And I'm not talking about beauty, folks. I'm talking about ugly, right? Beauty is skin deep. Ugly goes to the bone. We have ugly people in Washington and ugly people in every state capital that demand people obey them because they're in charge, because they're so powerful and smart. It's not how it works. People don't follow that. People don't obey that, right? People follow freedom. People understand liberty. People understand that. And I think they're starting to wake up to it. You see, when someone takes something good from you, you realize what you lost. That whole you don't know what you got till it's gone. That's not just a song by the rock group Poison. It's not just a catchy phrase. You don't know what you got till it's gone. It's a matter of life. When you have something really good and you let it go, and then you realize what you lost, sometimes you can't get it back. Well, in the case of people and relationships, no, you can't. In the case of freedom and liberty, when you give up your freedom, your rights, your liberties to a tyrant, it's not impossible to get it back, folks, but that tyrant now thinks that they own those things like a fucking trophy on a shelf. like a possession they can put in the bank. They believe they own it now, and they don't willingly give it up. Instead, they fight really damn hard to keep it. We're rolling up on 2 hours, folks, and I want to say this. If I can get you to patreon.com and sign up at the Prepared Mind for $2 a month, 7 cents a day, you can join us Monday through Friday. I do a monologue early, and I do a monologue with live chat every day. As 2022 develops, you're going to want to be there, folks. You're going to want to hear what the hell is going on. If you've got questions, comments, you can ask. If you're going to want news links to real news, to real medical news, to real medical videos, to real military information, whatever it is we get our hands on, whatever the hell is happening out there, I can get it to you on Patreon. I can't do it 100% on YouTube. They're just going to stop us. This is why I want you guys on Patreon. Hang on to that for a second there, Jolene. We'll be right back. Patreon, folks. What's it about? That's what it's all about. Can't be canceled there, folks. And we always have a backup plan. All right, who's got the next super chat donation, comment, question, statement? Who's got it? It's William C. with a $5 super chat. Thank you, William. Great support that you always show for the show. He said, word, countries are turning against their own people. Around the world, countries are turning against their own people. Yes. I think the main reason is threats from the debtor countries owing to central banks. Who owns the central banks? I'm glad, number one, that I can most of the time interpret your guys's abbreviations and shortcuts and code words. Who owns the central banks? The richest of the rich. The royalty and aristocracy of Europe owns central banks. Some of them are owned outright. Other times it's multiple families that have joined together and they own the central banks. In addition to them, corporate billionaires own central banks, own stock, own percentage. So I think you're right. See, countries are in debt to the banks. This is something that was fought about in the United States. In fact, it resulted in a duel fought between Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, two American patriots, folks, who had a difference of opinions that resulted in the death of one of them. They fought a duel over central banks. Andrew Jackson, one of the greatest American presidents, he's on the $20 bill, folks, that guy, the $20 bill guy, wanted to destroy the bank. But when you say that he wanted to destroy the bank, John, are you saying that Andrew Jackson wanted to destroy the country? Destroy the money? No, folks. Money back then was gold and silver. Money back then was gold and silver. And the value of items were pegged, right? Gold, $20. Silver, $1. 1 ounce of those was equal those dollars. So there was no inflation. Money was just money. But what he wanted to destroy with the banks was their ability to loan money to our government. Loaning money, having the ability or demanding that a government get a loan from a bank in order to operate is something Andrew Jackson and others despised. They wanted that stopped. The practice of borrowing money from private banks, that is the problem. Private banks. So William asks, who owns the central banks? Folks, they're not public banks. The European Central Bank is privately owned. The Federal Reserve Bank is not federal. It is not U.S. It is a privately owned bank, and it lends money to the United States government, the U.S. government, the corporate U.S. government. So the corporate U.S. government is beholden to the corporate Federal Reserve system, Federal Reserve banking system, who controls the loans, the distribution, the value of our money. You've heard the phrase, money makes the world go around? Well, in this case, they're fucking the money supply up on purpose, and they're destroying the ability of the world to go around. That's our dwindling supply chain. That is our government going more and more into debt, saying, let's spend extra trillions of dollars on the Build Back Better plan, because they want to build back the infrastructure. And you're like, yeah, roads, bridges, I can see that. Pipelines, gas refineries, energy production. Yeah, that's great infrastructure. No, their idea of infrastructure, folks, is social programs. We've blown, folks, literally blown trillions of dollars on social programs since the 1960s with LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, President Johnson's Great Society. They've fucked up the money system. Richard Nixon, when he took us off the gold standard, closed the gold window. Ronald Reagan's incredible deficit spending that has been dwarfed by deficit spending that is astronomical in compared to that. And that's where we're at today, a destroyed money with a destroyed system that finances our government. Our government is beholden to these central banks. Look up, type up, who owns the central bank? Type that into Google even. I'm sure you're going to find all kinds of geriatric, Persian bazaar, bullshit, vanilla flavored, frosted answers about the Federal Reserve System. Find out who owns it, and you'll find the names of royal houses in Europe. It's quite enlightening when you discover this stuff. In fact, the money system was one of the first things I learned about after serving as a Marine and discovering that our country not only uses the military to protect our nation, but also uses the military to serve its masters, its private interests. I learned that. And then when I got out, I learned about our money system. The Federal Reserve dollar is not the US dollar. It's not the US note, it's a Federal Reserve note. It was the creature from Jekyll Island, the Federal Reserve. Not really passed in a nice way. The 16th Amendment, the Federal Reserve System was created by Congress under really nefarious conditions with nefarious characters. And it's been in operation now for over 100 years, and it has done nothing but reduce the purchasing power of the dollar and move wealth from the hands of the people to the hands of the wealthy. That is, the rich get richer. And we're at the 2-hour mark, folks. If you have more things you want to talk about, hit that super chat button. Hit it hard, hit it long. And we have Russell Bates checking in. Holy cow. Is this the Russell Bates that I know? Send me a text if it is, Russ. And he sends a $50 super chat donation. Thank you, Russ. And he says, helping to keep the lights on. And if you're the Russ I think you are, then you keep the lights on for many people. You're a good man. Folks, we are in big trouble. Big trouble. Get prepared. Get prepared. I want to thank everyone for supporting this channel, including Crazy Uncle, who is back yet again. And he says, the quote, build back better is only half the phrase. The rest is, quote, after everything has been razed to the ground. Socialism 101. Man, there's part of their plan, folks, is to destroy the American system, and then blame you. They want to destroy America and blame freedom, liberty, free markets, the Constitution, your rights. They want to blame all of us. They want to blame us and say, look what happens when we trusted that system. The United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. It failed. So we need a new socialist America, whatever they're going to fucking call it. Who knows? That is their plan, folks. They want to destroy it. They're the ones destroying it with their socialism and their socialist programs. The rich are getting richer by helping the government destroy things and funneling all the money to them. How are they doing that, John? How can the rich get richer if they're destroying everything? Well, Cerveza Bug comes out and they say nobody can go shopping unless you go to Walmart, Target, unless you shop at Kohl's, unless you shop at Home Depot or Lowe's. You can only shop at the billionaires' own stores. So mom and pop, they all got told, hey, you've got to, you can't be open. No one can shop in your store for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Your beauty shops, your restaurants, your bars. None of you guys can be open. Your gymnasiums, none of you can be open. The beaches shut, everything's shut. But the rich people, everyone got funneled in with their supposed dangerous disease, got funneled into these buildings and these businesses where they handed over all the money they got that goes up to the rich corporations who in turn also own the banking systems. And they want to destroy the country, folks. They want to transfer all the wealth from the low class or lower class, the middle class, right? By class, I don't mean how good a human you are in some hierarchical system. I'm just talking about income classes, right? The poor, if you will. And there's nothing wrong with being poor. There's nothing wrong with being in the middle class either. Anyways, this is where they're at. And we got Crispy Bacon, the Crispy Bacon Show, with another $5 super chat donation. He says, TMZ is reporting that comedian Bob Saget found dead after a tour in Florida. You know what comes next from the media. It's my understanding, folks, that Bob Saget was down in Florida last year also, or he's been in Florida all of 2021. That being the case, is that odd? Why was Bob Saget in Florida? Well, for the same reason that other comedians are down in Florida and other southern free states, because they're free, because they're not woke, because they could actually tell jokes, folks. The comedians in the free states are able to be comedians. They're using satire, humor. They're sarcastic. They're smartasses. They're cynical. They love pointing out the hypocrisy and stupidity of those in charge and the idiots in the world. That's what comedians have always done. They've used humor to appeal to people's understanding of what's going on, to demonstrate, right, how stupid people are, and we get to have a laugh at them. I mean, for example, watch an episode of Seinfeld. You might laugh at Kramer because he's doing something that turns out to be stupid, or George, or Elaine, or even Jerry himself making mistakes in a humorous way for our entertainment and to illustrate the effects of fucking stupidity. Well, is Bob Saget stupid for being in Florida? I don't know why. I don't know why we would assume he's stupid. Did he take the Jim Jones juice or not? Well, I don't know. Did he really die in Florida or not? Was he part of some super spreader event or not? Did he have a heart attack? Did he fall off a ladder? Did he slip in the shower and land on a bar of soap and impale himself? I don't know. Bob Saget was an interesting guy, had a career in strange humor, funny, interesting guy. If he truly has died, and Crispy Bacon says that TMZ is reporting it, that's a too bad thing. But the fact, let's just say that, yeah, he did die, and he has been on tour in Florida. Crispy Bacon's well aware of what's going on in the news. Well, if he's down in Florida making fun of mainstream media idiots, I don't think they're going to be none too sad that Bob Saget has passed, because he was probably making a good living off of making fun of them. And it is terrible that Bob Saget has passed. Again, interesting comedian. I enjoyed his work for many years. My kids enjoyed his work on America's Funniest Videos, AFV. But anyways, what a world, what a life, what a day, what a show. This is the Prepared Mind channel, folks. And we touched on a few topics, but there are so many more. I am literally looking at my computer and I have dozens of stories that I didn't even get to. Alas, I am freaking exhausted. I had a great weekend. I relaxed for a couple of hours. I got a good night's sleep. But it is now Sunday night. The world doesn't care. It's going to punish us with more of this crap starting bright and early tomorrow. So I'm going to get as best a night of sleep as I can. I'm going to wake up, hopefully refreshed. I'm going to deal with all of the shit, and you're going to have to deal with it too. And I hope and pray you're ready, folks. I hope and pray you're prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan, because chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Semper Fi means always faithful. Godspeed and God bless. We all need it. Thank you for the support financially to keep the lights on and the spam in the pantry. I hope you too are prepared, at least for a month, folks, for supply chain interruptions, at least a month. I hope you are ready, because the government, the president, the Congress, the banks, the mainstream media have all promised us, folks, that it's going to be nasty. I'm going to take them at their word. The one thing true they've said is they're going to make our lives a living hell. So I am prepared, and you should be too. Share this video with everybody, and we'll be back very soon.
Screw your freedom.